Welcome, dear hearts, to a journey of divine light and sacred grace. What a grand punchline the universe has played on those who fancied they'd muted you. In truth, your convictions roared at the precise moment the world craved honesty. Now you command a force so immense that reality itself shifts in your wake, transforming you into a hushed tempest, invisible yet utterly unstoppable. The illusions they cherished crumble beneath the hush that now follows where your thunder once fell. All their certainties about power, destiny, and the invincible hero answering a celestial summons will implode the moment they witness what's coming. Think back to those moments you faced the world alone, words scorching your lips as onlookers doubted your sanity. Remember the fierce urgency with which you warned them, implored them, striving to awaken them from their self-destructive stupor. You were thunderous, the lone voice reverberating with absolute truth. What they never realized, however, was that your thunderclap was merely the overture to a grand celestial drama, one that would demand of you the deepest and most profound stillness. This change that is taking place right now is not an accident. It's the result of the seeds you sowed in the dark, irrigated with your tears, and nurtured with a faith that everyone else deemed stupid. You were nurturing something timeless in the invisible world while they were busy constructing their houses of cards. While no one was seeing, the roots grew deeply, and while they made fun of your techniques, the foundation became firm. The same individuals who doubted your sanity are now experiencing a flowering so evident that their judgment is no longer relevant, as the full bloom of your becoming bursts through the surface of everyday reality. However, there are levels within layers in this story, and the surface is only just starting to be peeled back. The power of results, which speak louder than words ever could, has replaced the voice that formerly had to struggle to be heard. What you believed to be your demise was actually the start of your transformation, and what appeared to be your biggest mistakes were actually divinely planned detours toward a destiny so tremendous that it first required you to be deprived of everything you knew. Your quiet is more dangerous than your voice ever was, and those who attempted to silence you are learning this fact, which makes them shiver. The sensible ones listen when someone who has been outspoken and correct suddenly stops talking. They are able to detect the change in atmospheric pressure that occurs prior to the storm. They wonder what seismic event is gaining momentum in the pauses between your remarks as they feel the ground quivering beneath their feet. Your old adversaries are starting to understand that they were battling against themselves, their own evolution, their own healing, and their own awkward encounter with reality, rather than against you. In fact, every arrow they shot at your character bounced back toward their own soul mirrors. Additionally, they are not ready to face the images that are presently reflected in that mirror. The celestial court has convened, a choice has been made, and proof is being offered that will validate every tear you shed, every night you stayed up wondering if you were going insane, and every time you wondered if you were genuinely called or just hallucinating. Even you are surprised by the power with which the underground empire you have been secretly constructing is emerging. Beloved friends, if the Holy Spirit is moving in your heart today, would you consider sowing a seed of $20, $50, or even more by clicking the Super Thanks button below? Just as our Lord promises in Luke 6 verse 38, "Give, and it will be given to you. Good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over." And when you give liberally, God opens the windows of heaven to pour out blessings beyond measure. Your generous gift fuels this ministry's mission to uplift thousands with hope, faith, and the abundant life Christ came to give. Let's partner together in faith, give now, and watch God's favor overflow in your life. Now, all of the years of spiritual toil, shadow work, and invisible alignment are showing up as observable, indisputable change. The resources are coming in. There are more and more opportunities. It seems as though the universe is arranging a symphony of synchronicity to propel you into your next phase of life, with the right individuals showing up at the appropriate times. What's taking place is a complete departure from the structures that once held your potential captive, not merely personal recovery. As heavenly downloads fill your mind with business ideas, artistic pursuits, and healing techniques that seem less like work and more like the organic expression of your true self, that prison-like 9-to-5 reality is gradually disappearing. The entrepreneurial spirit that is waking up inside of you is inspired rather than desperate. It is drawn to something bigger rather than something that needs to be escaped. The financial benefits aren't sporadic windfalls. Rather, they're the compound interest on investments you made in your own development when everyone else was focusing on other things. Every moment you chose healing over numbing, every therapy session you attended while they evaded their problems, and every book you studied while they binge-watched television are now paying off in ways that appear miraculous, but are actually the inevitable outcome of spiritual mathematics. People who laughed at your path to completeness are now trying to figure out how you went from being a victim to a winner, from surviving to thriving, from turmoil to that strangely peaceful energy that inspires and threatens others. Their anxiety intensifies with your calmness. Their inner turmoil becomes more apparent as your presence becomes more tranquil. You've become a living, breathing catalyst for change, and people are either drawn to or triggered by the brightness of your light. This isn't just a coincidence, chosen one. The mirror you have become reflects truth, rather than condemnation. Furthermore, truth has a way of bringing to light things that have been concealed in the human heart's darkness. Some perceive opportunities for development, healing, and progress when they gaze into this mirror. Others simply perceive charges, dangers to their meticulously crafted illusions, and unsettling reminders of the labor they have been evading. The mirror merely reflects what is there. It does not select what it reflects. The huge divide between those who are prepared to change and others who would sooner smash the mirror than confront its contents is becoming more and more apparent. Everyone around you is being forced to face their own crossroads as a result of your shift. On the left is the circus, with its well-known disorder, cliched drama, and cozy dysfunction. The roller coaster on the right stands for the magnificent beauty of a life lived to its fullest potential, the thrilling uncertainty of progress, and the exhilarating terror of becoming. Everybody has to make a decision, and your very presence is what forces that decision to be made. Some people from your past are coming to terms with the fact that they have been living in Looney Tunes land, performing for an audience that has long since ceased laughing while sporting giant shoes and rainbow wigs. They are being struck with the force of heavenly awakening when they realize that they have been the comedic relief in their own tragedy. They have two options: either take off the costume, clean off the makeup, change into appropriate clothing, and embrace their true selves, or they will intensify their performance and declare that anyone who criticizes their costume is the issue. Yellow heart if you're moved by divine love. Now is the moment to share it. Click the Super Thanks button on YouTube and contribute $50 or more to help us broadcast God's blessings far and wide. Every act of generosity you make is being watched in heaven and will return to you 100-fold. Those who are unwilling to let go of their former selves are learning that their attachment to their former selves reveals nothing about their future fate and everything about their current condition. They are striving to revive a dynamic that nourished their ego but starved your soul by keeping red ribbons attached to a non-existent person. It's the end of the big cycle that needed to end. What you're seeing is the inevitable result of spiritual physics at work, whether or not people attend the completion ceremony. The effect of every cause is finally being realized. At last, each seed is producing its own fruit. At last, every investment is paying off. Irrelevant fields are being harvested by those who sowed the seeds of criticism. Those who sowed seeds of encouragement are reaping the benefits of mutual development. And you are reaping a reality so rich that it silences every critic and justifies every sacrifice. You, the chosen one, who sowed the seeds of truth even when the earth felt unfriendly. Now, the timeline is speeding up in ways that should scare everyone who is still in denial. For you, however, it's like returning home to a reality you've always known but found difficult to express. The seeds you forgot you planted will bear fruit in the days ahead. Opportunities will arise that are so clearly orchestrated by God that even the skeptics will have to admit that something supernatural is going on. You're about to receive rewards beyond your wildest dreams for the sincere and hard labor you believed went unappreciated. It would seem impossible if you weren't experiencing it yourself, since the cosmic dance directing your ascent is so exact and well-timed. Every individual who leaves your life makes room for someone who is more compatible to take their place. 3 doors open in front of you for every one that closes behind you. Every once catastrophic loss is now being revealed as a heavenly rerouting toward something far more appropriate for your true nature. When your forecasts come true with shocking precision, the folks who formerly made you doubt your own perception are suddenly doubting their own judgment. Your warnings, which they disregarded as paranoid, are turning out to be foretelling. Consequences they could have prevented had they listened to the advice they rejected as being too straightforward or complicated are serving as evidence for it. The only thing keeping them safe from the chaos they created themselves are the boundaries you established, which they deemed unrealistic. Once continuously triggered by its dysfunction, your nervous system now maintains its composure amid circumstances that might have otherwise sent you into reactive spirals. Like stones skipping over still water, the triggers that once took control of your emotional state bounce off your newfound balance. The drama that used to take up all of your thoughts now seems inconsequential to your current situation, like background noise from a television in a different room. The artistic endeavors that had been lingering in unfinished states are now effortlessly accelerating toward completion. Businesses that had months of difficulty gaining traction are now drawing in the ideal partners, capital, and market circumstances for rapid expansion. In ways that beyond your expectations, audiences are discovering the depth of artistic expressions that felt too vulnerable to convey and appreciating their genuineness. The living areas that used to feel weighed down by stale energy are now becoming havens of creativity and tranquility. Your surroundings are concretely mirroring your internal metamorphosis, whether it's through remodeling, moving, or just a change in your own vibration. The mess that used to overwhelm you is either naturally clearing out of your environment or organizing itself. The mismatched decor is either being replaced with pieces that precisely express your matured aesthetic or it is harmonizing brilliantly. Even you are surprised by the changes in your physical appearance, not because of outside manipulation, but rather because of the inherent brightness that results from living in accordance with your purpose. The lines of stress are becoming softer. You're getting better posture. You have more light in your eyes. You have more clarity in your skin. Your vitality has increased. Though they are unable to precisely identify what has changed beyond the indescribable quality of being more authentically yourself, people are remarking on how different you look, how much younger you appear, how much more attractive you become. People you haven't spoken to in years are being impacted by the ways your progress is reverberating across dimensions. All of a sudden, former classmates are recalling talks with you that they initially disregarded but now recognize as prescient. Former co-workers are noticing trends in their current circumstances that correspond with the cautions you issued a long time ago. Former love partners frequently view new relationships as shallow and compared to the depth and authenticity you provided to their lives. Your current energetic signature is so unique and potent that it is causing individuals to experience healing just by thinking about you. Some people are suddenly becoming aware of their own self-destructive habits. Others are experiencing unexplained impulses to switch occupations, break up with toxic people, or return to previously unexplored artistic talents. Some are even apologizing for their treatment of you, but many more are just choosing to make new judgments without fully comprehending why your influence is helping them make better ones. Your life's financial transformation isn't just about money. It's about energy exchange at last flowing in ways that respect your value rather than take advantage of your generosity. Opportunities that fairly compensate you for your special abilities are replacing the low-paying jobs that used up your time and undervalued your efforts. People that value quality and pay appropriately are replacing consumers or customers who attempted to haggle over your costs. Your personal development investments, courses, coaching, therapy, books, and retreats are yielding compounding returns that appear miraculous but adhere to exact spiritual rules. Your artistic creations, the writing that seemed too exposed, the ideas that sounded too revolutionary, the art that seemed too strange, are finding audiences that comprehend and value the depth of what you have to offer. It all comes down to identifying the ideal recipients who have been looking for just what you have been producing. As new opportunities arise that better fit your evolving vision, the platforms that previously rejected your proposals are either opening their doors or becoming irrelevant. The health issues that initially appeared to be harsh roadblocks are now being revealed as heavenly reroutes that compelled you to learn self-care techniques, lifestyle adjustments, and healing modalities that are now the cornerstone of unparalleled vitality. You lost the energetic density of bearing other people's emotional burdens, not just physical weight. You're finally receiving sleep, but it's more than simply relaxation. It's time for your consciousness to integrate the significant enhancements it has been downloading. Not only are the meals you're wanting nourishing, but they also resonate with your higher frequency. Dove brothers and sisters, everything done in faith multiplies in God's abundance. Use the Super Thanks feature to donate $100 today and join this sacred mission. When your roots are grounded in Him, your fruit will flourish, and your offering becomes a seed that bears blessed harvests. Your once terrifyingly intense spiritual skills are now being used to help people who are prepared for the kind of profound healing and change you can bring about. As you monitor their fulfillment over weeks and months, the intuitive hits that initially appeared random are now demonstrating their precise timing and accuracy. The once disorganized dreams are now displaying distinct patterns of symbolic instruction and prophetic counsel for your upcoming stages of development. The folks who passed away, moved away, or disagreed with you during your toughest moments are resurfacing in ways that affirm their ongoing commitment to your achievement. The frequency and specificity of signs, synchronicities, and supernatural confirmations are so high that they dispel your skepticism. In some way, the ancestors you have never met are expressing their approval and support. Through the words of strangers, the mentors who have passed on are providing validation in the same way that they would have. Your life is gaining pace due to the support of both visible and invisible realms, which seems both exciting and overwhelming at the same time. Projects that previously had trouble gaining traction are now getting the tools, contacts, and chances they require to grow rapidly. Finding cooperative partners who share your vision and appropriately complement your skills is crucial for ideas that were born alone. It turns out that visions that seem too large for your present skills are actually the perfect size for your developing ones. When you compare the scenery of your life to theirs when they were growing weeds of gossip, negativity, and drama, the garden metaphor becomes incredibly real. You were cultivating forests of insight, orchards of opportunity, and roses of resiliency. The contrast is no longer subtle. There is no question about the evidence. The path of a life in harmony with divine purpose is as truthful as the garden. By cosmic decree, you are no longer the problem person in the relationship, the corporate sacrifice, or the family scapegoat, because the individual who once accepted that treatment is no longer with us. The position is no longer open. Someone who recognizes their value, their authority, and their refusal to engage in actions that undermine either can take their position. This is spiritual maturity, not arrogance. This is self-preservation, not selfishness. This is revolution, not rebellion. You've entered the silent thunder phase, which is arguably the most potent part of the chosen one journey. Words were essential when you were developing your voice, comparing your truth to the lies of the world, and gaining the self-assurance to stand by yourself if needed. But now the sermon is your life. The testimony is now your reality. Your metamorphosis has turned into the proof that disproves every argument. Your frequency is no longer accessible to those whose disorder used to sap your energy. Like raindrops off a lotus leaf, The circumstances that once set off your trauma reactions now bounce off your energetic armor. The naysayers who formerly made you doubt your sanity now seem like kids debating fairy tales. They may be passionate, but they are ultimately unrelated to your everyday life. You have turned into a mirror for other people, reflecting not only their shortcomings, but also their possibilities. When they notice the darkness, some people run away. Others approach the light after seeing it. Both answers are essential components of the cosmic sorting that is currently taking place on Earth. You are simply in charge of keeping the mirror clear. You have no control over how others respond to their image. With the subtlety of a spiritual tsunami, the season of proof has arrived, removing the debris of delusion and revealing only that which is firmly based in reality. There is no denying the facts. There are so many receipts. There is proof everywhere. Now, others can see you, chosen one, not the warped image they conjured up to defend how they treated you, but the real you in all your changed splendor. The prophecy that is playing out in front of you for 7 to 14 days is only the start of harvests that will last for many seasons to come. What you sowed with tears is now blossoming with victory. What you sacrificed is blossoming profusely. Unquestionably, what you buried in apparent failure is growing in success. They only needed time to grow in the dark before emerging into the light, but the seeds were always viable. Everyone in your area is being forced to make decisions they have been postponing for years, if not decades, because of the crossroads catalyst you have become. The circus is a metaphor for the well-known mayhem of dysfunction, drama, and denial. The unpredictable excitement of development, recovery, and becoming is symbolized by the roller coaster. They make the decision, but your presence makes it impossible to put it off indefinitely. How long will you wait to assert your position among them? That is the question, not if you belong there. You don't need to defend, explain, or justify your silent win to those who weren't there to witness the journey. Your life has turned into the evidence that silences detractors and justifies all of the sacrifices you have made. The garden speaks for itself when it comes to soil quality, care consistency, and gardener wisdom. In languages beyond words, the harvest speaks for itself. Your mastery of the silent thunder symbolizes the synthesis of all the knowledge you've acquired during the calm seasons and all the lessons you've learned during the noisy ones. It takes spiritual maturity to know when to speak and when to keep quiet, not simply tactical knowledge. Realizing that you have the ability to change atmospheres without saying a word is not just a sign of personal strength, but also of divine alignment. The fulfillment of the chosen one promise in your life was a cosmic affirmation of truth itself, not only a matter of personal validation. You didn't realize at the time that your pain had a purpose. Beyond your immediate awareness, your quiet held power. The world needed to see what transformation looks like when someone gives their all to the process, and your season of recognition came just in time. The difference between what you've grown and what others have produced becomes evident as your life's garden blossoms. The flowers of resilience you planted in suffering are now filling the air with possibilities. Anyone who is modest enough to accept it can now enjoy the fruits of the orchards of opportunity you formerly cultivated alone. Other travelers on the way now find refuge in the trees of wisdom you grew alone. Your journey's circular narrative reveals its perfect symmetry. The silence that once felt like suppression now resonates with the power of someone who has everything to offer and nothing left to prove, while the voice that once had to fight to be heard now commands attention through the sheer force of authentic living. You were right and loud when the world needed to hear the truth. And now that your life has become the living embodiment of that truth, you are silent but deadly. The dichotomy resolves into perfect harmony. Glowing star yearning to witness God's miracles firsthand, plant your spiritual seed now by contributing $100 or more through the YouTube Super Thanks button. Your offering lights the path for others and echoes through His divine plan, bringing His light into every step you take. The impact is just getting started, but the metamorphosis is complete. Chosen one, Your narrative has turned into a lighthouse for those who are still trying to find their way out of the wilderness, still wondering if their hardships are worthwhile, and still wondering if they have a voice in a society that doesn't seem to listen to knowledge. When they see your garden, they are reminded that progress is achievable. They see your calm and remember that there is healing. They witness your abundance and understand that breakthrough is a lived reality that anyone can achieve if they so choose and nurture the appropriate seeds with unflinching confidence. The silence that seemed to be dying has turned into the womb from which your true life was ultimately born, and the thunder that once roared through your voice now rumbles through your whole existence.